thing that I wanted to touch on that everyone has been really losing their mind about, and I just can't for the life of me join them. In certain cases, I wish I could, but in a lot of cases, I just can't, man. I'm just like, yes, but no. And I don't know. I'm gonna get you guys' opinion first, and then I'll rant about it later. But I'll get you guys' opinion first. But the one I'm gonna get into, or that we're gonna get into now, is Final Fantasy VII, the remake. So they remade Final Fantasy VII. It's no secret. This has been talked about for years now.
Yes, and there, even at the beginning of this year, you had that whole like, well, there's not exactly a release date yet. Mm-hmm. So, and then, you have the talks of the PS5 coming out. So it was talks as being one of the top ones to be exclusive for PS5.
Yeah. So, Jojo, you played Final Fantasy VII?
It has been a while. Probably my elementary school days. Mm-hmm. But I have played it, sir.
Okay. Your thoughts on them remaking it?
I'm not really big on remakes of video games that are actually good and that don't per se need a remake. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, there was a lot of fights in Final Fantasy VII that I'm like, if the graphics were just a little better and more detailed, this would put it over the top.
And I can see that. They're definitely going with the action RPG style, but they've actually tried to implement some other things, implement stuff that was like still very reminiscent of the old game. And I would say it's probably be more like, it's almost more like, have either of you played Parasite? Oh, you've seen me play Parasite Eve, yeah. Have you ever played Parasite Eve before?
I don't think I have.
It has a similar kind of gameplay where it's like it's still turn based, but it's action involved. Like you have to dodge attacks and stuff like that. You have to move around, and then and it's just like basically this little bar that comes up. It's like, okay, when the bar gets full, that's when you're able to attack. You can do any attack you want to, as long as you have the MP or the MP to do magic, or you just shoot or whatever. So, but yeah, it was like it's almost similar to that from what I see. It's just kind of like, all right, it's action RPG still. But it almost kind of like, I have Parasite Eve vibes just from looking at the actual gameplay. And don't get me wrong, I get it. The fight the fighting, the action style fighting looks awesome. I would be lying if I said it didn't. It looks awesome. The people, the characters, they look great. They do look great. The graphics, obviously. Awesome, but I'm just like, what did people play Final Fantasy VII for? I can't speak for everybody, obviously, but I would argue that most people played Final Fantasy VII for the story. They got it, because of all the hype around the commercials, stuff like that. Sony was very good with that. And then they got it, and then they might have played it for some of the graphical stuff and everything like that, but they stuck with it for the story because the graphics were never good. The graphics were never great, with Final Fantasy VII. But that's not what made people stick around for it. Like people stuck around for the story.
Yeah.
And it was just like, man, people got into it. People, like I said, when that no spoilers or anything, if you haven't played it, but that one character dies, people were messed up about it, man. It was like
there's people still talking about how that's like one of the saddest scenes they ever experienced in a video game.
Yeah, I get it, man. It's just like it's one of those those deaths that you don't make fun of. It's like you don't make fun of Mufasa dying in Lion King, whatever. That is the one thing. It was funny. I'm pretty sure it was. I think it was elementary school, but the Lion King was on was on video by this time and everything, and we're all watching it, and the one kid like had never seen it. And Mufasa, that whole thing happens with Mufasa and Scar, and he's tossed off the mountain. And Simba's like, "No, Dad, wake up," or whatever, and the kid starts crying. Kid in class starts crying or whatever. And this one jackass bully starts making fun of him or whatever. He's like, "Oh, he's crying." The whole class was like, "You shut the fuck up. You don't play. We do not. No. This is real right here, man. This is real." But it's one of those things, like, it's kind of hard to. Can you recapture that in a remake? It's like, it's going to happen. So you're like, you're emotionally prepared for it.
Yeah. And that was the one thing about the new movie. Everybody's like, "Oh no, we have to go through Mufasa dying again." And I'm like, but that he dies, and he's a fictional character. So it's
over 20 plus years.
Yeah. So it's like, yes, you get emotionally connected to characters. Mm-hmm. And at the time, as a kid, you did. Like, he was the dad. He seemed like he was going to be the superhero. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, he's not there. So as a kid, parents explain to you, "Yeah, he died, honey." Mm-hmm. And then you just don't know how to grasp it. Mm-hmm. And then now it's just like, you've got a better understanding. And you're like, okay, yeah, I know this is when it happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like I said, that hit a lot of people hard. And I think what it is with this particular game, it's just, if I'm being honest, it's not for me. It's not for me. It's probably not for people like us. It's for two people. It's for the people that, they know the graphics in Final Fantasy VII aren't great. And they were just like, "Man, I wish they re-release this re-release this game with updated graphics or whatever and stuff like that." It's for them. It's definitely for them, because they would definitely enjoy it. They have the nostalgia for it and everything like that. So it's for those, it's for those people. And it's also for the people of the newer generation, because let's be real, turn-based RPGs are kind of going away. Like, they're not really much of a thing anymore, which makes me sad. I mean, there are some that still exist. It's just like, it makes me sad that that's going away. Now, I know, like, action RPGs, like, you got to think quick on your feet and, hand-eye coordination, stuff like that. Like, you can get that from sports games too, but, like, that's one of the things, like, you get with the action RPGs. You got to respond quick. You got to think quick and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's great. But there was something about the strategy of a turn-based RPG, because with turn-based RPGs, well, you got your regular fights you don't really think much about. It's like, melee, boom, go on about your business or whatever. But you also have, your main thing was like your bosses and your demi bosses and stuff like that you would get into. Is like, you had to think like 3-4 moves ahead. This is like, all right, you had to strategize it out. And I get it. It's not for everybody. Some people are just like, turn-based is too slow. There's no intent. There's no intensity there or anything like that. And I'm just like, you haven't played them enough.
Have you played Pokemon?
I was about to say, you don't just get to go in there and be like, "Pikachu, Thunder Shock," then a quick attack, then another Thunder Shock, then a Thunderbolt, and maybe they won't have enough energy to attack us back. Like, doesn't happen.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to get at was just like, you think about like the turn-based art. There's always like an enemy just like cast sleep on the party. And it's just like, when are you going to wake up? Luck of the draw, It's just like, all right, we're just gonna sit here sleeping, or and like your enemy's completely free to attack. That's stressful, because you're just like, when they're gonna wake up and stuff like that. But I think one of the worst things, this is the worst thing for a turn-based RPGs. You go up against this boss. You have this, you're going back and forth or whatever. You're trying to feel out what he's got and everything, because most bosses you can't scan. You can't look at them and just like, use the scan or whatever spell to be able to figure out like, okay, what's their HP? What are they weak against? You just kind of figure it out and kind of go from there. Just kind of like, and there are some enemies like that too. It's like, all right, you got to kind of use common sense. It's just like, well, this is a fire-based enemy. Obviously, I'm going to use water against them, et cetera, and stuff like that. But with bosses, like, it's a luck of the draw. Just how you kind of like cast something. I'm just like, all right, let's see what this does. Oh crap, that healed them. Okay, But the worst thing is just like, all right, you got this boss, you're going back and forth and everything. It's like you're trying to figure him out, trying to figure out what he's weak against and everything. And the worst thing that could possibly happen on a turn-based RPG is the boss stops attacking, and all of a sudden you just see this text box that says charging 4. You're like, the frick are you charging, man? What are you charging? Hey, and just like, it's not attacking. It just says charging 4. Next round, charging 3. You're like, what do I do? You start throwing everything at your partners and everything. You start asking them, like, what the hell is he charging, man? What's he doing? You're throwing at all your items at your partners and stuff like that. He's just like, take this. It's like, which one? All of it. Take all of it. And then it gets down to 2. You start like, you at least this was me back in the day. It's like I start negotiating. It's like, hey man, start charging. It's like, hey man, listen, we ain't gotta do this, man. We ain't gotta do this. You start looking at that little the option to run and realize it's grayed out. You're like, damn it.
It's like, well, charge whatever you have to charge and go ahead and get it over with.
Yeah, and it's bad. It's never good. It's never good. When it gets down to 1 and it releases whatever attack it is, the one thing is pretty much always going to guarantee to happen. 2 people are going to die, and one of them's going to be left with 2 HP. Just leaning over, just oh shit, that's all you got, But you are completely you're incapacitated at this point, and you don't know if the monster is going to go, the boss is going to go first the next round, or if you're going to go first. And it's never your mage that lives.
No,
it's always the guy
it's always the healer that has maybe one attack that'll do 20 damage.
Yep. Yep. It's just your mage is down. That's the one that's going to die. If your mage is 6,000 HP, it's going to get hit for 36,000. It's dead 6 times over. It's you have your partner over here that's dead or whatever, and your mage is just ash at this point. But it's you have to use items and stuff to heal him. That's stressful. I'm sweating just thinking about that. That's stressful. With turn-based RPGs.
Yeah, and most of the times, if you use a potion to revive one of your characters, that is your turn.
Yep. That's it. It's just all right, you revive it. That's it. You better hope that you got that. It doesn't use another big attack or something like that, whatever. But trust me, they could be very stressful. There's stuff like that you can't do with action RPGs. It's like I said, there's stuff you gotta think about and everything. It's it's almost I like the way that it makes you think. You have to think about your moves and stuff. Like I said, general enemies, nah. It's just you melee, you move on. But I would say with turn-based RPGs, man, you get so much more. It's like chess. You got to think ahead. If you're not thinking ahead, and unless you're at a ridiculously high level, if you're not thinking ahead, you're probably going to die. It's
got to make sure you're prepared. Got the right potions.
Yep.
Got the right items.
Yep.
Got the right weapons, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of the anime Sword Art Online. That's kind of how that game is. It's an RPG game.
Mm-hmm.
You got your different parties, so you got to make sure you're on point.
Exactly.
You go to that boss battle, because if you're not, you're dead.
Yep. Yep. Pretty much, and it's like Dungeons and Dragons. It's all turn based and stuff when we play. So it's all right, well. And it's luck of the draw. That's stressful. That's stressful. We've been in some fights where it's just
oh yeah, there's been times where we'll start a game at 6 o'clock, get into the fight at 6:30. Next thing you know, it's it's 2 a.m. and we barely scrape by the skin of our teeth.
Yep.
I need to go find a hospital, get some stitches. It's gonna be about 2 days for Mike wakes up.
He's dragging both of us out. So I'm
literally arrows in the knee, arrow in the eye.
Yeah, so it's stuff like that. I hate that it's kind of going away, but like I said, you still got Pokemon, so that's stuff still always going to be turn based. But it kind of saddens me that that's going away. I kind of wish they still had keep a balance of both. It was like, all right, this is still turn-based and everything. You're still always going to have your turn-based stuff here, but you can also have your, your action RPGs and stuff. Like I said, a good balance of both is not bad. I hate that they're starting to phase that out and everything. I know, attention spans and stuff like that. But I'm just like, man, something about just being able to think through a fight.
Yeah, I think a lot more people now, like, they like the free movement and then just being able to attack and slash when they want to.
And that's one of the things, like, why I'm actually pretty happy that they aren't remaking Final Fantasy VIII. They're just re-releasing it in HD, obviously. So, and they wish I could show you guys listening a picture of it, whatever. But I saw this and I was like, wow, like, this is something I'm like, okay, all right, because obviously the game back then didn't look like this, but I would dare say it wasn't far from it. I'm like, if HD was out back then, it would have looked pretty freaking awesome. Because I'm trying to find a picture here. Okay, so we got a picture here. This is an original picture from, the 1998 or something like that.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I'm probably way off or whatever. I think it's probably like 99, 2000, probably somewhere around there or whatever. But this is from that time period.
Yeah,
that's not bad.
Yeah, at that time, like, 3D models like that were like, if you had a video game like that, you were the cool kid.
Yeah, I'm like this is not bad. Like that, like for that many years ago, and I'm just like that's pretty good. That's really good. And obviously it's going to be better when it comes out. Obviously, let's say we got this picture here, and like she looks obviously like much crisper, much sharper and everything. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I could, cutscenes are going to look much better and everything. But like I said, it didn't look bad back then. And 8, ironically, has always been my favorite. I know, like I said, Final Fantasy VII revolutionized gaming. But Final Fantasy VIII took it that step further. It was just like, all right, here we got this, and we did this and everything, so let's go, we didn't go to, like, the very next step, but, like, we took, we went to the very next step. We didn't go above and beyond. We just, like, okay, what's the next step? What can we do? What can we improve on? And Final Fantasy VIII did that. So I know a lot of people still like it, but I think it goes unnoticed a lot next to Final Fantasy VII, and I think that's just because of the of what Final Fantasy VII brought to the to the field and everything.